Let me tell you something. If you'd asked me a few years back if I'd ever risk my neck defending a patch of dirt on the side of a Colorado mountain, I'd have laughed you right out the room. But life's got a funny way of cornering you, making you dig in. That's how I ended up fighting not fire, but a pack of clipboard-waving, power-drunk HOA tyrants who thought they could steal what I built with my own two hands. I promise you I wasn't about to let them win. You see, that hillside wasn't just 10 acres of rock and pine needles. It was my shot at a second life. After 2 decades hauling hoses for the Denver Fire Department, 20 years of running into burning buildings while everyone else ran out, I'd earned my scars. My back gave out during a warehouse collapse, and just like that, the city sent me off with a plaque and a handshake. Insurance payout in one hand, a battered old laptop in the other, I scoured foreclosure auctions until I found a listing no one wanted. A steep, overgrown lot out in Park County, 40 minutes past the last gas station, no paved roads, no neighbors, just the wind for company. I moved out there with nothing but a tent and a stubborn streak, cleared brush, dug trenches for the septic, poured footings by hand. Springsteen blaring from a crusty boombox bourbon chilling my aches at night. That land became my lifeline, every splinter, every pulled muscle, every curse flung at a frozen water line. I lived rough trailer first, then walls, then real windows. Built a fireplace from Riverstone I carried up the hill myself. No one came by. Hell, I liked it that way. Until the day that gray SUV rolled up Sun, glinting off the words, Whispering Ridge HOA in block letters, like it meant something. 3 of them, 2 women and a man, stepped out in their matching vests, all business. The leader, a sharp-faced woman with a bleach blonde bob and sunglasses that belonged in a courtroom, not a pine forest, called out, "Are you the owner of this property?" I nodded, dust on my hands, heartbeat steady. "Yep, Roy Milner. You're trespassing." That set her off. Karen O'Brien, of course her name was Karen, rattled off a whole list of supposed violations. You didn't submit your building plans, your grading's non-compliant, and your fence is unauthorized. We'll need to see your permit packet. I just laughed, couldn't help myself. "Ma'am, you're about a half-mile off your own turf. I bought this place from the county. You got a problem, talk to them." She shot me a look colder than the wind up there. Didn't take long for the threats to show up. That same evening, there was a certified envelope duct taped to my gate demolition demand, $500 a day, fines the works. I'll admit the first time I read it, I laughed so hard I nearly threw my back out again. But the absurdity wore off quick. I dealt with collapsing buildings, not bureaucratic extortion. These folks had forged a map, drew in my parcel with a red marker, and figured I'd just roll over. They didn't know me, so I did what any stubborn old firefighter would do, got my paperwork in order. Deed auction certificate, county GIS, overlays all scanned and sent out with a cease and desist addressed to every official I could find. I called up the county planning office, got a tired-sounding guy named Derek on the line. He checked the files, double-checked the plat. "Roy, you're outside their boundary. You're not in any HOA. They're misreading the map." Misreading right, or rewriting. Still next day, there's a county vehicle at my gate building enforcement in faded blue letters. The guy, Tom, mid-40s, looked more bored than mad. Said, "Got a complaint about unauthorized construction under HOA oversight." I invited him to my picnic table, laid out every doc I had. He nodded. "Looks good. You'll want a lawyer, though. These HOA folks, they don't let up." I'd already called Caitlin Johnson, property attorney, and as soon as the next round of HOA lawyer letters hit, citing bogus codes and including a map that looked like it was drawn with crayon, she was on it. "Classic boundary fraud," she said, and promised to dig in. The next weeks were a blur of motion-activated cameras, new locks, and documenting every car that so much as sniffed my property line. Whispering Ridge wasn't backing off. If anything, they ramped up complaints letters, and then out of nowhere, a county stop work order stapled to my gate. I ripped it down, called Caitlin in a fury. She got quiet, then told me what she found. The HOA had filed a lost 1996 boundary map with the county sneaking it in under a motion to restore historical plats. My property suddenly was inside their lines. I saw red. This was forgery, plain and simple. I demanded a forensic overlay check. The fonts, metadata, everything. Caitlin called in an old federal geodetic tech who lived for this stuff. While they worked, I welded a bracket to the gate and wired an alarm. I knew I wasn't paranoid, the pattern was obvious. Then 2 a.m. one night, the real fight arrived. I woke to the sound of heavy equipment crawling up my trail. Snuck out and saw it, a bulldozer on a flatbed, a pickup with no plates, 5 people in vests. Karen at the front barking orders, cut the gate back, the loader and structure comes down in phase 2. One kid with bolt cutters, another with a walkie. They thought they'd catch me sleeping. I called the sheriff fast. Trespass in progress, heavy equipment, no permit. Get a unit out here. While waiting, I killed the floodlights so they'd have to work in their own headlights, then flanked them from the tool shed. I heard them shouting, spotted me on the north fence, and Karen tried to bluff, waving a folder of forged nonsense. I stepped into the light, flashlight blazing, and said, "You've got 30 seconds to get off my land or you'll be zip-tied till sunrise." That's when the sirens arrived, red and blue through the trees. Deputies rolled up, took everyone's info, snapped photos of every scrap of paper, and picked up a drop radio with a live channel, some voice on the other end saying, "Just cut the gate and dump the posts. Don't talk to the guy." Deputy Nash was all business. "Ma'am, do you have any documentation for this demolition?" Karen tried to spin it, called it pre-scheduled maintenance, but no one was buying it, not with a bulldozer at 2 a.m. They didn't arrest anyone yet, but they had enough for a full report. The next morning, Caitlin had the gloves off. Motions filed for contempt, criminal trespass, emergency review of the forged plat. County scheduled a hearing. But things were just heating up. A black SUV rolled in 2 men in suits, investigators from the Colorado AG's Office Property Crimes. They flipped through my stack of deeds maps, even that radio audio. The older one, Howard, muttered, "This isn't just fraud. This is institutional forgery." Turns out mine wasn't the only parcel. Whispering Ridge had recapped 3 others in the last 18 months, all flipped to developers. A week later, I was sitting in a county courthouse giving my deposition. Caitlin laid out the forged maps, radio logs, and emails, one where Karen called me a squatter, asking if the doctored plats would be enough for the developer to proceed if we clear the squatter. The judge didn't hesitate, preliminary injunction. No member of Whispering Ridge allowed within 300 feet of my property. But here's the twist. County auditors found that 2 senior clerks had logged those forged plats. One had a suspicious second mortgage. The pressure cracked. A board member she flipped told all. Whispering Ridge had been running this scam for years. Forge maps, target abandoned land claim. It harassed the owners and flipped the property cheap. Suddenly it wasn't just my fight. I was the wrench in the gears. Other landowners came forward, a retired couple, a widow who'd been evicted, even a drone hobbyist with video of HOA goons building fences across unowned parcels. State investigators set up a task force, and I testified in a broadcast hearing. When I played the walkie audio, the room went dead silent. Charges came swift: conspiracy, racketeering, document tampering, land theft. The board president, Karen, was indicted on 7 felonies. The county clerks lost their jobs. The developer who'd been in on it fled the state, but they caught him. The HOA itself dissolved, court-ordered. Their bank accounts, assets, even their shiny branded SUV were auctioned off to pay back the victims. And me? Well, I got legal title recognition and a settlement that paid off every expense, plus enough to finish my home right with solar panels and a metal roof. I kept building, but now I had company-injured firefighters, vets, folks who needed a place to work with their hands and shake off their own battles. We'd build swap stories, and every so often I'd catch a glimpse of someone finally standing a little taller. The biggest lesson: sometimes you win by standing your ground, by refusing to let the powerful rewrite your story. I learned that even in the wilds of Colorado, justice has a long memory. The system bends, it breaks, but sometimes with enough noise it fixes itself. And when the deck's stacked, you call the bluff, lay down your cards, and fight. Now, whenever I sit on that deck at night looking out at the land I nearly lost, I ask myself how many others are fighting battles no one sees. How many HOAs, county clerks, or developers have twisted the rules in the shadows? Maybe you've seen something similar. Maybe you've been there yourself. So let's settle this. Where's the line between defending what's yours and abusing power? When does a homeowners association go from protecting the neighborhood to becoming the bully? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me if you've tangled with an HOA, or share your own story of fighting for what's right. Because if my story proves anything, it's that justice, sooner or later, always finds a way home.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video của mình.